Hey, what's up guys, Josh has Boosters here and welcome back to another One Piece video. Today, doing something I think is pretty cool, where I did the tier list video a couple of weeks ago, right before the format started, alongside the OPTCGgrinder, where we just kind of, did the tier list ranking all the decks and how good we thought they would be going into the OP11 plus structure deck format. And now that we finally had a couple of events and we have some weeks to play in this format, I'd really like to go back to this tier list and kind of see how we did essentially, and how good we were at guessing where certain decks are supposed to go. Spoiler alert, I do think we did sorta well, but not really. I really think the format shaped up quite different than we expected, but of course there's still room to grow and stuff, so we still have a couple weeks to go before the new set drops. But yeah, I don't want to drag on that too long. Just kind of want to get into it. I'm just gonna go from the worst tier, and then we just work upwards, I guess. Because I think at the bottom tier we kind of got most of the things right, I feel, but not all of them. And then the tier 1, tier 2 is really where I think some stuff and placement will have to change. So in the D tier we put Nami. Watch the previous video why we said so. But yeah, not gonna change anything about that. Then in actual rogue bait we have Garb, Shirahoshi, Carrot, Oden, Robin. I think that's probably fine. Honestly though, I saw a red-green Oden doing kind of well at the Amsterdam regional, so maybe it should be tier 3. In fact, I'll just put it at tier 3, just, I don't know, seems fair. Then in tier 3 we have Kid, Jinbei, Kolgara, Kobe, Nami, Katakuri, this Luffy, Smoker, and the other Katakuri. And honestly, I think this is all good except for Kolgara, because if you don't know, this actually managed to get top 8 at the Dublin regional 2 weekends ago. So this is definitely a tier 2 deck and probably should be pretty high up. Honestly, it should maybe be there. It should probably be there when we're just judging based on results, I think. But we will be moving some other tier 2 decks as well, so just in case you think whoa, you think Kolgara is better than Bonnie or Smoker? No, I do not think so. But for now, let's just put it there, because it did put up more results than Lim, Dofi, Zora. I also think got no actual tops. Vegapunk, RP, Reiju, Shanks, yeah. And then going into the tier 2. So basically, like I said, I think in the remainder of the format, it wouldn't surprise me if Lim, Zoro, they get some tops. Honestly, I think Vegapunk's probably a little bit too high up. Should probably go I know, might very well be here. I still think Chopper is low-key pretty good. It's an aggro deck that can run Hody Jones. Seems pretty strong to me, so I like it there. But the real decks we need to talk about are obviously Smoker and Bonnie, I think. I don't think... Oh, and Marco, actually. I think Marco might actually go here, because it got a top 32 finish at the Amsterdam regional, piloted by my friend Lexinator. So I think that's a pretty solid spot for that, but I really think the breakout decks for tier 2 are Bonnie and Smoker. I'd prefer to just start with the Smoker deck. I think this deck is phenomenal, and I actually think this is a tier 1 deck. It's been getting more popular, I think, after the Dublin regional, after Rafael and I played it, and Rafael got top 4 with it. And I think this deck's absolutely amazing. It contests super well into all of the Luffy decks. It's very consistent as well because of the double searchers you can run. It hasn't been putting up super insane results quite yet, but it did get in Europe 3 top 16 finishes or better. I do think it belongs in tier 1. Just gonna plug real quick, I wrote a guide on this leader as well, because I really think it's that good. I'll post the link in the description down below. Obviously, don't feel inclined to buy it or whatever. I obviously just do free videos about it as well, which you can check out. But if you are interested in something like that, you can check it out. And then the other breakout deck I feel from tier 2 that should also be tier 1 probably is Bonnie, because I think this actually got 2 top 8 finishes at the Vegas regionals, if I'm not mistaken, which is obviously like a very, very solid performance. Very, very strong deck. I was really trash talking this deck actually in the last video, but I'll be the man, I'll man up. I was wrong. Bonnie actually phenomenal deck in this format, and deserves its spot in the tier 1 for now, I think. Then I think that's the only decks that really need changing. I mean, Zoro should probably go here, but other than that, I feel like the tier 2 category is how it should be. Well, not really, because I will be moving some tier 1 decks down a tier. You could even say that maybe there should be like a tier between tier 1 and tier 2 where decks like Smoker and Bonnie should go. But I think it's fine. Yamato's the next one. Should probably go here. I think it got like 1 top cut finish at Vegas as well, but I think it went 10-0 there, so I mean that definitely says something about the deck, but it didn't manage to crack the top 8 when the best out of 3 top cut started, I think. So I think it's like at the top of tier 2, kind of overestimated a little bit when we were making the tier list, I think, last time. I do think it's like a worse deck than Smoker and Bonnie, but it's definitely a very competitive deck regardless. Then we have this Luffy deck, and honestly, it's probably tier 1. I think it did really well at the first regional in America, in the States. But after that, it didn't run so hot. I also think in Europe, it didn't perform at all. I think it got like maybe 2 top cut finishes, if I'm not mistaken. Still, like, I think it's a good deck, but it's not like the tippy top deck. It should be like top tier 2. In fact, I will put it here. I think it's not as good as Smoker and Bonnie. Then LOL. I think this also goes here, probably also like a little bit above Kalgara and Yamato, but below Luffy. I think it put up like similar numbers to the black purple Luffy deck. Definitely a very, very strong deck, for sure. It has a good matchup into what did end up being, I guess, either the best deck or the second best deck of the format, which is Snake Man. But I think it's not as good as Bonnie and Smoker, probably, or it could be like at the bottom of tier 1. Then we have Buggy here, and I think we really overestimated this deck, and I actually think it is kind of turbo ass, but still better than Kalgara, I suppose. I really thought this deck was like phenomenal, but it kind of isn't, and the results it has put up have been very disappointing, I think. Yes, it did get like a couple top 8, top 16 finishes. However, you have to remember that this deck was actually very popular and played like a lot, like way more than Smoker, for example. And Smoker put up like the same, if not better results. So and a lot less people played the Smoker deck than the Buggy deck. So I think that really speaks for something. Then Pluffy we put tier 1, and I think this should actually probably go here. Also has had a little bit of a disappointing run. Got some top cut finishes, I think. Okay, actually I'll put it there. That feels better. But it's not the tier 1 contender that I expected it to be. And then Lucci. I honestly think this deck is like Kalgara tier. Like this, it hurts me in my very soul to say this, but saying this was tier 1 was like the biggest copium imaginable. It did get like a couple of top cut spots, I think, at Vegas, and like 1 top cut spot at Amsterdam as well. So I guess it's like there. It's like a Buggy tier, and I did just call Buggy turbo ass, so I guess that by definition means that Lucci is also not so good this format, which is very, very disappointing, but it kinda is what it is. It makes sense, right? Like the newest card this deck plays is from like OP8, and we're in OP11, and like all the other decks got like a lot of support, and Lucci didn't, so it is what it is, sadly. And then Bello Betty, this deck is definitely, like, you could make a case the Bello Betty deck should go, like, over there, to be honest. I think it won, like, 3 out of the 5 regionals that we've had. I really don't like it, because I think this deck is, like, very, very straightforward, very aggro. I'm not, like, a big fan of a deck like this. It's not even, like, as in-depth as Zorro is, for example. But it is, like, a phenomenal deck, and I do think it's one of the top 3 decks in the format. So, yeah, I'm gonna... Okay, I'll put it there, then move on to Teach, but this deck has just put up, like, phenomenal results. I think it has, like, the best win rate on Sim. I don't like it, but it is definitely one of the best 3 decks in the format. Then we have Teach, and I think Teach should probably go somewhere here. Got some top cut spots. I think it got top 8 at Vegas. But hasn't been doing as well as it did in the last format, which I think makes sense, to be honest, with Bello Betty and Snakeman being 2 of the... Actually, I think Teach has, like, a bad matchup into 4 out of the 5 tier 1 decks, in my opinion. Which just means that it's not going to be a tier 1 contender. It's still not, like, a bad deck by any means, but I don't think it is a tier 1 deck like we put it before. Then GP, I think this is probably actually the best deck in the format. It might be that Snakeman's just getting super hard countered, even though Bello Betty's also good against GP. It's not as good into GP as it is into Snakeman. I do personally think that GP is the best deck in the format currently. Super consistent, very good at what it does. Like, what it does is not mediocre, it's very consistent at doing something very good. I would probably say the order where this is in now is correct. I think Snakeman is probably the 3rd best deck in the format. Like, I think generally Snakeman is actually, like, in a vacuum, it is a better deck than Bello Betty is, but it just gets super hard countered by Bello Betty, and Bello Betty is, like, an extremely popular deck right now, which makes Snakeman earn its spot over there. Obviously, phenomenal deck. It did win a regional as well. It won 2? Actually, did it? No, it won 1. It lost the finals in Dublin. I mean, there's not much to say about Snakeman, right? It kind of forms the format around itself, even though I do not think it is the best deck. Currently, it's super consistent, extremely powerful. Yeah. So I really think at the end of the last video, OPTCGgrinder, he mentioned that we would probably see, like, what decks actually deserve to be in tier 1 and what decks don't, and I really think this is how it should be. Maybe I'm overhyping Smoke, but I really don't think so. I really think this is one of the best decks in the format, and I will probably be saying so for the remainder of the format, unless, like, something really groundbreaking happens that makes me question this. But for now, I do think it's phenomenal. I think Bonnie, no matter how much I hated on it last video, I think it's actually a phenomenal pick going into the format, and then these 3 decks kind of speak for themselves. Yeah, just a short little video that I wanted to do after a couple of weeks of actually playing the format and seeing the results. I hope you enjoyed that as well. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment if you do agree with this take on the list, and if you don't, be sure to let me know as well. Subscribe for more, like, competitive One Piece content, and if you do, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!